Thank you very much for joining us here on News Desk to our very first story. And the Court of Appeal has given the Attorney General a December 22 deadline to file detailed documents and responses justifying why businessman Alfred Woyome must be imprisoned for fraudulently securing 51 million cedis from the state. Now, the High Court acquitted and discharged Alfred Woyome for the offences of defrauding the state of 51 million Ghana cedis by false pretense and causing financial loss to the state. But the Attorney General, Marietta Brew Apia Opon, is now challenging that verdict at the appeals court. The court has directed the AG and the lawyers for Mr. Woyome to file all necessary responses and documents by December 22. The case itself has been adjourned to January 12, when a date will be fixed for judgment. The original case that saw the acquittal of Mr. Woyome at the High Court was presided over by controversial Judge John Ajet Nassam, who has since been allegedly captured on camera taking bribes in a different case. Justice Ajet Nassam has already been suspended. The Attorney General on appeal has argued that, quote, the judge erred in law when he stated that the prosecution had woefully failed to establish a case against the accused when he had established a prima facie case against him. The GN reports that the notice of appeal also stated that the judgments could not be supported, having regard to the evidence adduced at the trial. The AG also argues that the finding of the trial judge that persons such as Betty Modi Drisu, Honorable Barton Odro, Samuel Nekwe Tete, and Paula Simenu were material witnesses, and failure to call them was fatal to the case of the prosecution. So we'll bring you much more on that in subsequent bulletins, but now let's do some politics. And a planned press conference on Tuesday morning in support of the suspended chairman of the NPP was scuttled by angry party supporters in the Ablekuma South constituency yesterday. Now, the event had been convened by a supporter of Mr. Foko named as Ato Kwashi, but was disrupted by party sympathizers who claimed it had not been sanctioned by the constituency branch of the main opposition party. Kwachi Afrenioma of our political desk was at Choco yesterday and joins me in studio now with details of what really happened there yesterday. And Kwachi joins me now in studio. Afre, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, tell us much more about what really happened yesterday.
Well, some have described the scene and with how events unfolded. Some have likened it to a war zone because shots were fired and it was the chaos there was major. You had these young people who came with the constituency executives, while even before that, the press conference that was supposed to be addressed by Atokwashi, you know, storming the premises there at the Ablekuma South constituency, specifically Choco. And their concern was that they were not informed by the organizers of this press conference that they were going to hold an event like this and address issues that have to do with the NPP. They say they are the landowners, and if, as landlords, any issue that has to do with the NPP that's going to be addressed, you know, that the press are going to be briefed on, they must necessarily be informed. So the press conference could not take place at all. Mr. Atokwashi could not speak to the press. They were, as I mentioned earlier, shots were fired, about 2 warning shots, specifically by one gentleman who came with the national the constituency executives. And at that point, you can imagine that the crowd, you know, out of fear, everyone started running away, including journalists and all that. Pretty chaotic at that particular moment. But the constituency executives have justified what happened. They say that Mr. Atokwashi had no justification whatsoever to have organized this press conference without their permission. In fact, they have described him as an anti-Nanado person. The pictures you see there on the screen, you know, that was the venue of the press conference. Those are some of the some of the pro-Afoko supporters, the young men who were earlier gathered there. And this actually was before the incident itself. They were singing, chanting Paul Afoko's name, saying that they disagree with the party's decision to have suspended him. The National Executive Committee's decision, which was later on affirmed by the party's National Council. And they also talked about the fact that Mr. Sami Krab, the second vice chairman, and Mr. Kwabena Japan, the general secretary, now face suspension by the party's National Executive Committee. We know that the disciplinary committee of the party, chaired by Reverend Asante Entry, has recommended that 15-month suspension for Mr. Kwabena Japan and Mr. Sami Krab as well. An indefinite suspension. That there will be a meeting later on this week. We understand on Thursday, that's tomorrow, to deliberate on this particular matter, see whether the party's National Executive Committee will affirm this decision, will accept the recommendation. As of now, it's a recommendation by the disciplinary committee. So all these issues they say they are unhappy with, and that's what accounted for this press conference, which of course never came off.
It never came off at all. But my worry has to do with the gunshots, and we're even told of persons wielding machetes and all over there as well. Now, was there even any security at all?
Not at all. And in fact, we understand that the Choco area is a Mamprobi police that has jurisdiction over that area. In fact, after 30 minutes, even after the incident, when residents had gathered, looking at, in fear, looking at what had happened there was no sign of security presence. I stayed all the while. And even an hour later, there was no indication of security personnel. And these young men who came with the constituency executives were still brandishing their machetes. And one other interesting thing that happened was that the generator that was supposed to be used to provide electricity for the function, they took it, they poured the fuel out of it or on the street, and that gives you a clear idea of how violent they were, how charged they were. And chasing journalists out here and there. Anyone who tried to video them, obviously they came out at such media men with such.
I see.
Force.
And Atokwashi obviously was supposed to address this media briefing, and he's the same person now accusing, is it Nana Akufo-Addo, of masterminding this, staging this?
Of course, he says that. He talks about what Paul Afoko we had mentioned at his press conference at the College of Physicians and Surgeons weeks ago, saying that there's now a culture of silence in the NPP. Anyone who expresses an opinion that is contrary to what the majority think in the party is hounded. He pointed to the example of Mr. Paul Afoko himself, who he says from day one, Nana Akufo-Addo said he wasn't ready to work with these people because they were not his own men. He talked about Kwabena Japan and what is happening now, attempts to suspend he and Mr. Sami Krab. And he says that these are all rough tactics that Nana Akufo-Addo is using. And at the end of the day, he travels out of the country. Other people do it on his behalf. So the impression is created that he is not the one necessarily behind it. But to Mr. Atokwashi, who says he worked with Mr. Akufo-Addo's father and Dr. Obiche Bilamte, all stalwarts of the Dankwa Dombo Buzia tradition. This is clearly unacceptable, and it points to, once again, the creeping culture of silence in the major opposition party.
Now, we are told the party has also been responding to some of the issues raised by Mr. Atokwashi. What have they really been saying at all?
Well, the NPP say Mr. Atokwashi claims he's a well-known member of the NPP, a founding member of the party's Dankwa Dombo Buzia tradition. But Nana Komia, we spoke to him on Top Story yesterday. He says that, well, he's a man that he's here for yesterday. He'd heard of his name for the very first time, and in fact he's urging party supporters not to engage in that sort of violence when events like this take place, even though he agrees with the constituency executives that certainly it was improper for this press conference to have been held. The attempt to hold it in the first place was unacceptable, because the constituency executives, who are those in charge so far as party matters coming to the fore, were not informed at all about this. But he says that the party in the main will look into this very issue because there was some violence there. particularly.
Right. Kwasi Afenema, many thanks for your time. And we will come back to this story pretty shortly and get some responses from some other people in the party and tell you much more about what is currently going on. We've been trying to get an update from the police as well, and all that have proved futile for now, but we are still pushing the lines. Once we have something, we'll let you know. So let's still stay with politics anyway. Now let's deal with the PNC and the planned National Delegates Congress of the People's National Convention slated for this weekend may not come off as scheduled. Now, this follows a suit filed by some aggrieved persons of the party who are, among others, seeking the disqualification of Bernard Mona in the party's upcoming elections. Now, they want the court to stop the Congress from being held since several appeals to the party has yielded no positive results. Now, let's try and get an understanding of what really the issues are. Henry Asante is one of three persons who have filed a case in court seeking to halt the PNC's Congress. He joins us live now over the telephone now with some more details on this. Mr. Asante, good morning. Many thanks for your time here on News Desk. Henry Asante, if you can hear me, good morning and thank you very much for joining us here on News Desk.
Yeah, good morning. The line is very faint, but let me struggle to.
Sure. I'll also try and increase my tone here so that you can hear me. So the very first question, what really are your reasons for, seeking a halt of this Congress in the first place?
Well, thank you very much. Let me say good morning to your cherished listeners. It may interest all to know that in every institution or any political party, rules, regulation, and convention are the hallmark, and I think it might be abided by all and sundry, irrespective of your position, your stature, figure, or whatever it is. So we are seeking this injunction restraining Bernard Mona from being part of the Delegate Congress that is scheduled for a while. In that the rules were set, and being the General Secretary, he was part and parcel of the rules. And then we agreed that between the 2nd and 13th of November, Afan to pick up their nomination forms, pay their dues, and then filing fee. So by the close of 13th, anyone who fails or refuses to pay, that person is deemed not to have filed, and thus disqualified. So Bernard Mona fall within that group. That after the close of nomination, he has not paid, and he has not paid filed. So naturally, the rule of natural justice must take its course. That's all.
So I'm looking at the reliefs you're seeking, and quite a number of them here. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, quite a number, almost 10 reliefs you are seeking from the courts, and essentially to prevent Bernard Mona from filing. And even after this, you're still asking the court to prevent him from filing further. Now, let me ask this very question. The party tells us that the disciplinary committee and the financial committee or so handled this particular issue. They listened to the sides of all the parties involved, and they did come through with a decision that indeed they are going to allow Mr. Mona contest. So why this? Is it that the party has erred?
Yeah. Well, I told your producer that I would not like to go into the nitty-gritty of this matter due to what you and I know. Your guess will be as good as mine. Matters before the law court, we need to be very circumspect. But touching on what is just said, we abided by the principles of rule of law within our party. There are conventions and there are constitutional provisions. And then we have to exhaust all avenues within and without. And then within, we petitioned the vetting and the nomination committee. They received our petition. And then NEC was called to dilate on this issue. When this matter was proved before NEC, the highest decision-making body, the second highest decision-making body, the national chairman overruled, using his veto power to say that he has stepped on it. So he will give us his verdict. We met the national chairman. All that he did was to appeal to us to let peace prevail. But we felt cheated. That is the let us face the reality. It's a matter of legality. Did Bernard Mona pay or he did not pay? Let us know. If he did not pay, then we apply the rule of justice. So naturally, that's where we are trading from. When they met, the committee sat on the matter, and they said our case is bogus because we have no solid point. Invariably, the very committee asked Bernard Mona to go and pay on 23rd of last month, when the deadline was on the 13th. So the 23rd of last month, Bernard Mona went to the bank and paid into. You see where the dichotomy arises. Here was the case when Dr. Mensahboum, our former national chairman, traveled all the distance from Canada on 2 solid occasions to file his nomination. He had part of the money to pay him, and promised to pay the other by a projected check. The very committee refused him, gave him only 2 hours through the chairman's instance that they should give him only 2 hours to make up that payment. When he could not make it, they disqualified him. Why? Is Mr. Bosu different from Bernard Mona? What kind of justice are we applying here? This is all we are saying, that look, since we have not seen justice within, it's better we go without. That is all we are.
So, from what you say, does it look like the party is just trying to protect the interests of certain people?
Come again?
From where you sit, does it look like the party is just trying to protect certain people?
That is the way we see it. It looks like within the political party of PNC, some animals are more equal than others. When in 2007, we had a candidate, Zalia Sedu, who stood for us at Ayawaso West Wogo. She failed to pay her filing fee of $100 for the lady. She issued a check. The check got bound, and she was disqualified. I mean, so we don't naturally see the rule of justice being applied here. That is the way we are seeing things. And nobody is above the law. Mr. Bernard Mona is the chief executive of the party. He has to sign all these things into law together with the national chairman. What are we talking about? We think justice must prevail. That's all we have.
So, tell us when exactly you are due for court as regards this particular case.
Some of what?
When exactly you are due for court? When are you going to court to talk about this particular issue?
Okay. From information we had from our lawyer, is due for 18th of this month, on the 18th. But it may interest you to know that at least in every human situation or institution, we are one family. As I'm talking to you now, the regional chairmen are gathering. They have invited us to sit, and then we try to resolve this, probably out of court. And that, as I'm talking, I'm on my way to the place. I just participated to meet the regional chairman, the 10 regional chairmen, and their secretary, and see the way forward.
So, a likelihood is that these regional chairmen are going to ask you to hold on to this particular legal suit that you have filed, and then just allow the processes to roll on. Is this something you are likely to consider?
Oh, naturally. From the information I had, or from the call they gave us, I think no natural character would love to see the dissipation of his political party or family. So these are the issues probably they're going to put the court. But we are also asking them. We may also ask or plead with them that we shouldn't allow one character to disunite the party. The rule of natural justice must be applied. Let Bernard Mona out of it, and then we go to Congress on Thursday. If Bernard gets out today, we shall be on Congress on Friday. We shall go to Congress.
So what if you are all not able to agree on a compromise? What happens next? Does that mean because this thing is in court, the party would have to postpone it yet again?
No, naturally one must understand. If we all don't come to a compromise, then the rule of law must take its place. That's what we are saying. The man did not qualify. The man did not file after the close of the deadline. So what are we talking about? I wonder why we are beating about over this very simple issue. He did not file at the close of nomination. Simple and straightforward. The man must be disqualified. The committee must be bold enough to tell Bernard Mona in the face that you did not file. You did not qualify. Why this gimmick? I'm sorry to say this, but I'm afraid.
But some are even saying you're being pushed by certain elements, and that your interest really is not for justice. You're not just there seeking justice or seeking the interest of the party. You are just there doing the bidding of other people.
Are Bernard Mona and his cohort doing the bidding of other parties? That is the question that we're trying to do. I don't know which parties we are talking about. I'm the communication director of the party. David Apasara is the national treasurer. If we are doing the bidding of one political party, what are they doing? Equally, we also know they are doing the bidding of any other party. If that is the equation, we know what is going on, or we suspect what is going on. So the yardstick that they are measuring what that's what they should measure themselves, and we know what is happening as well, or we suspect what is happening. So the good people of this country, or the right-thinking members of society, must weigh the scale and balance it. If we are doing things, then equally they are doing so. You see, I don't know why we are belaboring this point. The question I expected the committee to ask, did you pay after the close of nomination? Your check got bounced. If they wanted to go into history, in 2012, we had information that same policy was adopted. Some leading members of the party did not pay. But because the check, when it bounces, come back to them, we were not privy to. We didn't have factual evidence. That is what kept it. Since 2012, from Sunyani, we were monitoring. That is how come this time we were able to unravel it. As I'm talking to you now, one other leading member of the party, his check also got bounced. And he went back clandestinely to go and pay into the account on the 17th. What kind of system are we applying?
And which executive are you speaking of here?
Well, you get to know at the right time. We're going for a meeting. I will not disclose it that. But when we petition that person, it will come to the media line.
Right. Okay. Many thanks for your time, Henry Asante. And Henry Asante is with the PNC. He's one of 3 persons that have filed a suit seeking to disqualify Bernard Mona from contesting in the party's upcoming delegates Congress. Well, he's standing for a particular position over there. But, well, away from that, no, let's still stay with that particular issue. And Atiq Mohammed is a policy analyst with the PNC. He joins us live now over the telephone. Mr. Mohammed, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, clearly, it looks like your party is in some sort of shambles. Is that not what you agree with?
Hello?
Atiq Mohammed, if you can hear me, I'm saying for a party in opposition, I mean, you've been in opposition for quite some time now. One would say you probably by now ought to have gotten yourself together and put up a stronger challenge than you've done over the past period. Now, just some few days to your delegates Congress, and these are the kind of things we hear. Is it not worrying?
Yeah, thank you very much, and let me say good morning to the very students. Personally, I am very devastated, very frustrated, and extremely worried about the state of affairs within the party. And we couldn't have put it any better. We have not had the chance since the fourth Republican dispensation to win elections and to form any government. It means that people put us in order to fight that, but for me, it's hard. Yeah.
I think, Mohammed, if you can just reposition yourself a bit. We seem to be having a bit of a problem with our lines there. But if you could reposition yourself.
I can also be in the background. Hello?
Yes, I think Mohammed. Yeah, I think the line is better now. So.
I was thinking that this person has had the opportunity since 1992 to form government.
Right. I think we might have to bring back Atiq Mohammed, and Atiq Mohammed is a policy analyst with the People's National Convention, and he joined us over the telephone lines with some thoughts on this particular issue. But like I said, we will try and bring him back on the line once we have him on, and the line is clearer. We will have this conversation. But let's now take a break here on News Desk here on Joy News Multi TV. We'll be back shortly with some more. Don't go away.